Welcome everyone at home watching on YouTube for the annual meeting of the Arlington Cemetery Commission. Um, I will start the video. Hello, cemetery commissioners are showing that they are present. I'll leave the video off for the duration of the meeting, and we are broadcasting here from 96 Carboni Circle, special meeting location. Anyway, this is the annual meeting of the cemetery commissioners, and the meeting is called to order at 5:01 p.m. Are there any additions or deletions from the agenda from the commissioners? No, hearing none. We are good to go. Are there any public comments? Zeke, you just are going to babble. That there is not finding no public comments. We have the proposal for the annual budget. Right now, this is I have a copy of the annual budget that's being passed around the room. We exceeded on revenues for both lines, and otherwise expenses were exactly in line with where they have been the last couple of years, and are exactly where we would have expected given the contract. The plan for next year is to slightly tweak up the revenue lines for cornerstones and lot sales, just because we've been above the previous projections for now 5 years running ish. So we're going to tweak those numbers up just a little bit by about $200 each line. It shouldn't make any material difference to the department, but that'll give us a little bit more buffer for nothing. Oh. It doesn't change anything. It's just the volume of sales has been higher than they were historically at the current levels. So it's not, we're not really changing anything. It's just we're being more accurate with what our revenue projections are. Okay. So
I'm the biggest real estate seller in
100%.
By volume, I believe that is probably the case.
What do you mean?
Why?
No.
Yeah,
no complaints from the buyers. There some complaints from the people, from the prospective buyers, right. But otherwise, yeah, we're talking a par for the course budget for the year. So the proposal on the table is to approve the budget as discussed. So we will need a motion from one of the commissioners in a second. Second.
I second.
Okay, perfect. Good. All in favor? Motion passed unanimously. We have a budget proposal. Now, the next item on the agenda is the stone straightening update. I know, Natalie, you've been talking with people on that. You want to give an update for? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is Jay's contract up in another year?
Another year. So we still have another year of this. We don't have to think about that until next budget year.
Are we happy with him?
There's been a few.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Mostly the timing of trimming and stuff.
Okay.
I think there's one holiday that was.
He also had two kids who were working with him who decided to have the ambition of 19 and 22-year-olds who decided on days they were scheduled to just not show up to work.
Yeah.
So he was out of town and didn't know that some of those days wouldn't happen because they did the thing that community now do.
And actually, I also believe that one of those complaint periods was the time that was when he was right after when he was out of town and was having to have those two guys cover for him. That was because of the birth of a grandchild. That won't be happening every year. So I think we can be, at least we can only hope that won't be an issue complicating his services in future budget years. Yeah.
It's just when I first met with Jay, I like him. He is excellent texting me, answering my text, that kind of thing. When we first went through the cemetery and there was shrubs or bushes or whatever that need to be trimmed. I thought when I showed him those, and he asked me, I thought those would be taken out. And they weren't. So whether it's in his contract to do that or not, that I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that we'll have to, we'll try and get a bit of a more fleshed out contract in future budget years, or future contracts. That's something that this contract was more sophisticated than the previous contract and had more detail. I think we still need to get into a little bit more detail in the next contract.
Because if in fact removing the shrubs or trimming the shrubs is not in his contract, we've got to make
Yeah.
uh,
Arrangements of some form for that.
arrangements to have somebody else do it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, it's definitely something that needs to be written into the contract more specifically about a yes or no of whatever is in that contract. It needs to be addressed. And that's definitely something that we will do next time. So,
Okay, so it's
so that's noted. We'll note that in the minutes of the meeting. I will take this opportunity to say you will all get copies of the minutes. You will not vote on the minutes until the next annual meeting. So, supposing you're all in office next year, you'll vote on those next year. We should probably try and do that this meeting at that a little bit earlier in the year, so we're not pressed up into the holiday season. So one thing that we'll think about for that point is try to do this in like late summer. Zeke, come on over here. So that's it. But yeah, we'll try and do this like early fall next year or something like that, where it's after July but before November, ideally. So moving on. Straightening.
okay. I think, I don't know if Bill knows, but I know Ally and Nick know that Stangate had a meeting. Did you know about that?
Yes.
Okay. So I was thrilled to go to that meeting and meet. So when I came home from that meeting Monday, I put a phone call into him. And it was my lucky day because he had hurt his back and was on the couch and his back. And
For the win for us, bad for him.
and so he couldn't move. So I nailed him with a phone call. And so that was my lucky day to get a lot of information. And the other thing that really elevated it was when I mentioned that Bill Bryan is on the cemetery committee with me. And boy,
You got it.
as I say, that elevated our situation. So this is a copy. Nick can have a copy of this. This is a copy of what he sent to me of what he expects when he arrives. And so this is a cover letter. Truckload. This cover letter is what I contacted the Masons. And they're all on board about helping, and the Lions Club.
I told my grandpa he wants to come help.
So the Masons, you all know what the Masons are. Yeah. And in fact, there are 3 past master Masons buried in the West Arlington Cemetery. So it really is the one thing that I don't know, I think we need to think about
Okay.
is whether we want to, because he goes into quite a bit of detail about cleaning stones. And that's what people that, can't lift stones and don't want to do a shovel can do the cleaning of stones. But do we want the old stones clean? Do we want it to be all white? Is what I think that we need to think about. Apparently, what he uses, we would, if we're gonna if we're gonna do it, we would have to buy it in bulk at wherever he says. But
Oh, he also says you can buy it. He also says you can buy it online. So we can always make that. You can always make any purchase like that online. Okay. Yeah, but yeah, we can always buy anything online that you need for these kind of cleaning
but
products.
I would like to have us go look at the cemetery.
Yeah.
Now, there's stones that should be cleaned, but they're newer ones. I'm talking about
The old
the old ones. Now, you visit a cemetery and your family is in Ticonderoga and so forth. So
We do clean our family stones. And most of them are marble. Which I think most of,
these are marble and they're soft. It's just there's a lot of them. I just want to know, when did you lose glass?
Yeah.
Where are they, back here? Long way. I don't need an answer now.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't have a feeling one way or the other, but I guess somebody might.
Yeah.
And that's what we don't want to clean somebody's stone
They didn't want it.
and they,
Maybe what we could do is like put out there that we're doing a cemetery infancy, and maybe put, I don't know, maybe this is too hard, but maybe do like a banner article and invite family members, remind them that their loved ones are buried there if they'd like to come clean them. I don't know.
It's
The
kind of a
thing
question.
is that
They're old, right?
the ones that I'm thinking about, there's nobody around.
There's no one around.
I think for an opinion, I think you should drive by or drive through
Okay.
the Ira Allen.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never driven through that, so I think definitely one that we should
We
go
can do
look
that.
at.
So, the Masons are going to talk about it. It'll be the 1st of May. I'll get to talking about this again. The Masons are gonna talk about, to find out how many, people would be coming, because the meeting that they did propose this, several men were hunting. And then the Lions Club are all on board, and I pictured them basically doing the food. And that's what,
I think they're willing to help too, like physically and stuff. I think John and Sue and those guys, we did talk about it at our meeting. The only reason I might not be there is if my kids go to Skills USA, which is a career technical center competition in Atlanta. That means they have to be good enough to beat the entire state. So I'm a 50-50, but I do know the Lions are planning on helping around. But
Yeah.
I think you'd be surprised with how many people might come out and help.
so, next,
Yes.
does the town, rent a porta potty?
So we typically wouldn't, but we could. It's something that we could do, like, for this kind of event. It's not the end of the world. It's like $130 to do it. So it's very manageable. It's very easy. So that's something we can do. There's a little bit of flex in this. Well, no, we're increasing the revenues projections. So I'll just build that into the, an extra $130, $140 into the expenses for this year.
The only other thing is that there is a permanent porta potty at the covered bridge.
Yes.
Which is
Close
within
enough.
a short distance, and if you,
Well, and a bunch of the Masons are firefighters, and they'll just go and use the West Arlington Fire Station.
We could use the West Arlington.
Yeah,
Station.
that's
You just have the code and leave it open.
yeah. It's not gonna matter a whole lot.
right.
So
Am I right that the town would buy a truckload of your pack?
it's literally, we can get a truckload of short pack for like $100. That's easy. You don't even have to worry about it. We'll pull it out of stockpile. So we'll have the short pack. We can pull like wheelbarrows. we should have plenty of those floating around, but we can grab the town wheelbarrows as well for this project.
Don't worry about the pump.
And then we'll grab some of the town, like shovels, tampers, that kind of thing.
So would Mark be on board that day?
Mark will make sure to get us what we need out there. We shouldn't plan on the highway crew there to help, or the entire highway crew there to help us at this time. We might be able to get someone to like run a tractor, something like that. Yeah, I wouldn't expect all three of them, but I certainly think we can free up a person to run machinery. That includes getting we'll have the tractor down there from the highway department, which will have its bucket.
Yeah. So,
and we'll pre-position the stone. We'll dump. What we'll want you to do is designate in advance.
Thank you.
Where you want us to dump the load of stone.
So you'll read this over and decide.
I'll follow up with you in the spring. I'll have them. So if you want to think about where a good place to dump 10 tons of gravel in that cemetery is, a pile the size of a truckload.
Oh, it can't stay on the truck?
I mean, I probably wouldn't. What I would like to do is just buy this winter, get it there now, and it can just be there and whenever this project happens. I mean, we can get it closer to the date, but I have a bunch of free time. In any case, the highway department has a lot of free time to go and buy gravel this winter. So then it's not taking someone away from their day job if I can go and get the gravel there this winter.
Wow.
So if we can find a spot where we can have our like stockpile of gravel for this project somewhere down there.
The only possible place would be where, when there's a full burial down in the, I don't know if it's called the back or the front, next to the river, before the river bank.
Yeah.
That's where dirt is piled when there's a full burial.
Okay. So that
We own that. I'm not sure how many more feet we own into the cornfield.
I don't think anyone that would object to it as a neighbor if we find it, but we can look at that. And we don't have to decide that tonight. We can just.
The only thing is how far away that would be. My concern is how far away it would be from the stones that they're straightening.
Yeah,
Because for me,
I'm wondering is, can we pay for this out of the perpetual care fund
well,
and hire someone that day to bring a truckload and do it, because it is for the perpetual care of the actual physical space.
That seems like a lot of accounting work for $200 for the materials.
well, there's a
like-
lot of this that I would like to come out of the perpetual care money, right? With $20,000 there, I'd like to see the perpetual care pay for lunch, pay for all of the food. And because this is all about taking care of the cemetery.
Perpetual care of the.
Well, and it's a-
We have like almost what, 120,000 in that.
And it's a one-time event that's making a very long-term investment.
Right.
There's 20,000 there.
Yeah.
That is usable.
Yeah.
Right now.
Exactly.
So
So I was thinking.
that needs to be what do you think, Bill? I'm doing all the talking.
Well, that's what you're good at.
I know it is. But you tell me what you think.
I can't agree more. The money's there. It would be nice if we could have the stuff in the sure pack in a vehicle
Right there.
right there, and then in the,
Right.
because it means taking it by the shovel or the bucket full or whatever. And
It's because the most easterly road is where it's gonna be used.
Is there anything that says we can't pay one of the road crew members overtime to do that?
But what we could do is you could effectively, there's always the opportunity to do an internal transfer that is effectively like the cemetery is buying a day of labor at cost
from the highway department. And we have the amount, there's an equipment hour rate, and then there's the wage rate. So, but we can cost that out, but yeah, for a couple $100, we could do an internal transfer from the perpetual care fund to the highway department, where you're buying a day of labor and a day of equipment time from that. And I can work up a number for to transmit for you guys to get to the trustees for that kind of thing. But yeah, I will do some homework, do some math that will effectively pay the highway department to pull a guy away with their equipment. And then we can keep it on the truck, then we don't have to worry about it. And then I think a small truckload is probably sufficient so the highway department has the big Sanders, and then they have a smaller Salter truck that does that. We probably only need a small truckload, and navigating one of those big Sanders in there sounds awful. So I imagine that we'll want that smaller truck load.
So one thing that I'm just thinking is we allocated $1,000 to this day to food, to getting the truck, to getting what we need to make it comfortable, and anything that's left over, what if we leave it everything? For the work he's doing and organizing.
Well, I don't know how much.
I don't know either. So, but whatever it is extra, choose whatever amount, but maybe whatever's left we could give as a thank you to him. And actually, because like we said, this is perpetual care, and it is one time. It's not like we're doing this every year, fixing Century Gold.
Well, yeah,
cemetery.
yeah, costing it out, ultimately you're talking, okay, supposing it should be about $500 worth of town services and for the rock, the man, the equipment time. Then you got a porta potty of $130, $140, you're at $640-ish right there. And then you have some refreshments, and then you're at $1,000 approximately. So
We don't know how much that.
yeah, the refreshment
cost.
right, and that's supposing you're not cleaning stones. So you're probably talking like a $2,000 project from the perpetual care, which is not a big deal. There's $20,000 liquid here for an event like this. I think that's entirely reasonable. So maybe this is a good place for a motion for someone to make a motion that says, we would like to place a formal request to the trustees of public funds to authorize an amount not to exceed $2,000 for the repair of stones in West Arlington Cemetery.
You worded it beautifully.
You can say,
So
moved. So moved. We need a second.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Hi.
All opposed? Motion carries.
He's so excited. They have something to do.
We
I think you're right, and I think,
I think
especially if it's a decent day.
it's absolutely. Someone I thought about inviting who would probably enjoy volunteering, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you guys know Sean Devlin? He's opening up the new cemetery. They're kind of
not cemetery, the funeral home.
And they're kind of networking and looking to get involved in different events. Would it be okay if I invited them to come help us out? Because I think they're two people who would probably enjoy it.
I think perhaps and maybe just a community invite would cover this, but if we're, I like Sean an awful lot, but I think we also have local.
Yeah, I don't know them. That would be.
We should invite all of those
Maybe
groups.
all of them in the county.
Yeah.
All of them.
And I think that would.
I work very hard at doing that. When people ask who to go to for monuments.
Absolutely.
And I do Alan, Shay, and Maher, because you never know.
Exactly. You never know who's gonna vibe also with it.
Nick, I would like to are you recording?
Yes, everything is recording.
Well, what I would really like it to be recorded, go on record, that it was the trustees of public funds that asked for a wish list. So this started all of this.
Oh, absolutely.
And I really appreciate that fact.
Yes, that statement will be reflected in the draft minutes that you will all get no later than Monday.
Okay.
That-
I'm.
Are you done with it, with
Bill,
this
well,
item?
with this one. Bill, what about you? Are you done any more about?
Stone Street.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I think, I've got. Oh,
It's like the backpack water sprayers.
they're just.
Just
They're
like the chemical.
I got 3 of them through David. He'd happily give them.
Perfect.
He is.
So the other major thing is, excuse me, is allocating money for Celeste to, put the, records from my books into the computer.
Mhm.
Excuse me, the first thing that she needs to do is, needs to be done is all of the deeds. Back, it's probably been 6 years since any of this has been put into the computer, into NEMRIC.
Yeah.
So, have you talked with Robin?
I have not talked with Robin extensively on this, but the gist is, if we're talking, what we could do is make it look, this should be no more than 2 days worth of work. At the normal wage rates, you're talking about that is about $200. So you could make a motion to include in the annual budget funding for of not to exceed $200 for digitization of the well,
I disagree with you.
okay.
I talked with Robin Monday.
Yep.
And said, if you checked into how, when the last time was, that there was entry, and she has not. But she said, 20 to 25 hours.
Okay, so that's 3 days. That's $400.
I would say let's set aside 1,000 just.
You should not be setting aside 1,000. I don't think, I think that adjustment is too large for this project.
Up to not exceeding 1,000, depending on how large the project is.
I mean, this is gonna be a formal number put into the budget. It has to be, it would need to be a firm number. So, and to avoid spiking the amount of property tax dollars going into this project,
Can I just ask a question really quick? Why can this not come out of perpetual care?
because this
After
is
the
that
20,000 from the
that behaves like that is an operating expense.
But it's a one-time perpetual care expense to get things up to date, so it's there. Then we can figure it out in the operating, because it'll only take, like, each year, it'll only take an hour or two, if that.
Well, and that's what
I
I'm
would say
saying.
let's do this
It's-
as perpetual.
it is- I would say that because this is covering for the lack of investment on an operating basis, we shouldn't be substituting capital with operating expenses. So in order to keep it, it's not a big deal to put it on there, but like the wage rates you're paying for this labor is $15 an hour or less, all in. So you're talking a total expense of $15 an hour times 8 hours in a day, or $15 an hour times the $25 an hour. It's literally like $600 max.
You're talking five hours a day, not 8.
No, I understand that, but we're talking 24 hours per se. Well, if we do 24 hours based on, you said 20 to 25 hours from Robin. So if we operate that 20 to 25 hours at a wage rate of about $15 an hour, that is like $600. It's not $1,000. And if we keep it to $600 or so, that is entirely reasonable as a one-off project. And it would be spread over a number of weeks, certainly, but I don't think we need $1,000 here necessarily.
What, I guess in my only concern, what if the project, if we allocate so many dollars and it doesn't get done?
Exactly.
Um,
That's why we said not exceeding $1,000, so she.
but then I think I agree with Nick that thousand maybe too much. But if, I know it's a project that I would back up.
To me, it is not a speedy project. I know, I really like Celeste and I know she's good and she's the one that should be in the office doing it. But one of the things that you have to get used to when you're doing it is that the cemetery books and whoever in number will set up the cemetery website never looked at the cemetery book. So it's not like taking this information and then putting it here, because
Hunting and pecking
it's,
in both locations.
it doesn't match. So you have to adapt
Yep.
each time.
Mhm. Yep.
Which you get used to adapting.
Right, but you're still the offset and there's the learning curve time and those things. to
Yeah.
get the
But-
job done.
But once you get moving on this and you've done a couple, it's like having done work on digitizing land records, that's exactly how it goes. It's very much once she gets the first couple all done, she's gonna get a rhythm and understand it. And this does not mean that if we need to go and find some more money for this later in the process, we can. But I'd like to keep the budget number to not be $1,000 project, because what I don't want to have happen is this to be something that falls victim to budget cuts and budget stabilization efforts elsewhere in the government. And I will say this is exactly the kind of choice project in a tight budget year that the select board will not want to be
I just
exceedingly high on.
agree. I need you to better explain, why does it have to come from the budget and be subject to the budget if it can't come? What if instead?
This is not a capital expense. It is not a perpetual care fund expense.
Okay.
This is an operating expense that was not done over operating years. So this
Okay.
needs to be an operating
Gotcha.
expense.
I
Um,
think statute dictate
That,
what
have
Yeah.
the perpetual care money is to be used.
yeah. And we don't want to wait into
So that's
if you leave.
because for the perpetual care in the modern world that we live in, this does include care because it requires and it's online. So
Yeah.
you can look up their work.
It would also be,
There.
this looks like the kind of project that towns will try to fund with perpetual care fund money and then fall foul of the law doing, because it does behave like an
Play with
operating
that
expense.
stuff.
Are you
Yeah,
sure?
so in any case, it's not a big deal, overall, but if we
Gotcha.
can try to keep this to like a $600 number based on what Robin says, that as is the budget. If you take the existing wage rate, multiply it by the $20 to $25 an hour, you're talking $500 to $600.
So
So
if it's not, that doesn't get it done this year, then it can be added to next year.
or it'll at least get it close enough that we're at the end of the project and we can fill in the following year easily. It's not the end of the world, because what I'd like to do is, okay, we put in $600 this year and then we reduce it to like $150 into future years, and then we have someone effectively one day in the budget of time in the future to manage the cemetery records. And then if we're not going to use that, we'll apply that little bit of funding toward a day of bigger, broader digitization work and scanning and things like that. I will note the town has acquired a large format scanner that will be in service in the next week. It is in the mail right now. So one thing we will be able to do is start the process of scanning some of these documents so we have backups of them. But I don't exactly know how the scanner is going to work. I will have a conversation with you later about. But I did want to inform you guys that we do have a large format scanner coming in. It'll be arriving any day now, and we're gonna hope to be able to use that for your benefit.
He's under now, we can explain everyone.
Yeah, and obviously we could revisit it.
And we can always, if we need to, whatever, we can always call stuff if we need to.
Yeah, so
if someone wants to make a motion to authorize the inclusion of a request for $600 for this project to be included in the budget.
Make a motion to put $600 into the budget to be allocated for the digitization of the records.
Project. Good. Thank you.
Favor?
All in favor? Yay. Project is funded.
You know, one of the things that has been excuse me, has not been updated is the map in the cemetery map that is in the town office.
Yep.
In the bowl.
No one could sell a lot by that map because it's not updated. The process that I have is before I start doing a deed is I go to the map and decide what the section and the lot number is. Then the lot. And I just don't have the time.
That may be something you could teach me, and I could bring the one from, would I bring the one from the vault for a one-time thing?
Presumably.
I don't know who looks at it.
Could we?
I don't think anyone really does. So let's revisit that, talking to Robin, once we have the large format scanner, because that might just be a situation where or at least we start the process by digitizing and scanning all the books, and then we can work off of those scans on.
Could you scan my map?
I can scan all of your maps. That was one of the motivations for buying this printer, that I happen to have money to available to buy. So we knew this was a problem, and we had some other things we could benefit from a large format printer scanner for in the land office and things like that. So it should scan up to, I think it's a 3-foot wide book. It might be 2 foot. It's gonna be close.
Like that?
Yeah, it should. Yes, it should scan.
Worried about
It, yeah, whatever the narrowest size of it, we'll put it through that direction if it's sideways or whatever. But we will take measurements of that once we have the scanner. I believe, and I'm reasonably confident that it will be big enough to scan all of these. It was big enough for the land records and the biggest blueprints and things like that we get, or site plans. So I
You
hope
mean
it's gonna.
That hanging rack?
Yes,
Okay,
it should be close
that's
in
what
those
my
size.
map- That's what my map is in, because Robin one time did new sleeve. There was some leftover sleeves of
Mhm.
some kind.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it should,
yeah.
if it fits those, it'll fit this. I believe it will fit everything, so I'm excited to. Well, I was hoping it was going to arrive today, so I would know this, but it should be arriving any day now, and we'll have it set up in the clerk's office. Yeah, it's not the most expensive scanner we bought this year, but it's going to look really and be really helpful, because the current size limit is an 11 by 17 and or something like that, or 14 by 17, but this one will scan at least up to 2 feet. So, yeah, very excited. You'll see it when you're in the clerk's office next time.
I have one more thing on my wish list.
Yes.
When you're at the ball, each side is cement block.
Mhm.
And on each side, 3 or 4 are loose. And I think it's a nice one.
Mhm.
And I would like, this is number 4 on my wish list, is to have those neatened up.
That sounds like an easy job. I'll see if the highway department guys can clean that up this spring, because it's just get some cement in there, reset the blocks. Should be something that anyone can do.
They can do that, maybe they can look at it while they do the.
Yeah, we'll look at it and that's actually a really easy repair job.
I'm not
So
worried about the bank, because it's the bank from the Cemetery Road, the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
The entrance, they have that cleaned up.
that'll get mowed when it's firm enough to get the tractor up on the side of the road there. But yeah, we're going to be doing so much mowing this winter, and I look forward to mowing that bank
in getting that cleaned up. So that should be good to go. Any other updates? Any other business? Okay, Ally. Otherwise, we need a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you for attending the annual meeting of the Arlington Cemetery Commission. I hope you enjoy watching this on YouTube at home.